we were, a number of years ago, we would regularly participate, I say we, myself, and students would regularly participate in a logistics competition down in Pittsburgh. And I discovered in this one particular year, and the way that we would do it is I would ask for the logistics students here if there were any students interested in participating in this particular logistics competition. It was generally multiple choice, true-false questions kind of stuff, where the students would get asked questions, and you get points if you got the answer right, and no points if you didn't get the answer right. And students kind of self-selected themselves in, and then I would hold periodic practices where we would go over potential test questions. And I found out one year that it seemed as if the process for the organization developing the test questions was, in my opinion, very flawed, in the sense that they solicited questions from each faculty member who was supervising students that were going to come to this competition. I didn't have any problems with that. What I had problems with is they selected a group of the faculty advisors to then select the questions for the competition. And the first thing and I asked them, I said, well, how do you know that these faculty members aren't going to go back to their schools and say, here are the questions in the competition? Because a lot of schools, and we did it before, we won the competition and tried to leverage it, and said, not that particular year, but a couple of times we had won the competition, said, look, we won this competition. And there's another school, the University of North Texas, that every year they participate, many times they win it, and it's, front and center on their College of Business's website that, they're the national champions in this competition. So I found this out, and I said, I can't in good conscience go down to this competition, not from my perspective, but it's not, I didn't see that it was fair to our students. And I went to the dean and I talked it over with the dean, and the dean said, I hear where you're coming from. I think it's a good decision that you're making. And I told the students, and the students they were not happy because they put a lot of time and effort into it. But I said, I can't send you down there, and I can't go down there with you knowing what I know. And I refuse to participate in something that's as flawed as this. So that's my wonderful ethical dilemma that I experienced. And some people would say, well, you know it, don't share it with them, go down there. I got to be able to look myself in the mirror in the morning. I'm not going to be able to sit there, and if somehow it came out and stuff would come out that it's like, wow, guess what, we heard that the schools that finished in the top 3, their professors were the ones that selected the questions. And then, the students are looking at me like, did you know this? What am I going to do then? Lie?
Yeah, when I was like 30 or 28 and I was teaching, and you would go out drinking with students, sometimes students would think that, oh, you were at the bar, you were drinking with me, so you should
give me a grade.
Give me a better grade, whatever. And I've had where students got mad because I didn't.
So you usually you never did this.
No, I didn't, because I'm like, just because I went out and was drinking with you doesn't mean that it changes your grades. And I think that's for young professors a hard thing, because I always say, my motto as I got a little bit older, even at that age, was, I'll be friendly with you, but I won't be your friend. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Because I think of like some of these professors who thinks they can be friends with their students, I think you're putting yourself in a bad ethical situation. Yeah. And one of my things, like, I like having the glass in my office, and one of the things I see other professors do that I think are trouble too, is like, if some student came in to talk to me and they were upset when my office was downstairs, even if you were crying or whatever, I will always open the door. And I just think maybe it's a legal thing or whatever, but it keeps you out of, because you never know, somebody might make things up, you don't know, so you want that to be an open thing. So some people would say, well, that person wants privacy, but I'm saying for my own benefit, I don't want, I'll deal with the issue, but I want it to be an open process. Yeah. So I've tried to do that.
You know, this past semester there's been some tragedies on campus, and I've had students who have reacted differently to them, and so have requested different maybe exceptions to when to take a test or to turn in an assignment. And so I've had to make a decision about, do I make this exception for this student, or do I make a change for the entire class? And for me, I opted to make a change for the whole class.
I've had an ethical dilemma about whether or not I should grade according to uniform principles, or should I give a student a break? And, you know, in a sense, it's an ethical dilemma in the sense that if you specify a bunch of criteria that you want students to follow, and everybody does according to the criteria, except for maybe one student who doesn't. And then on other grounds, you say, well, should I give this student a better grade because the student is disadvantaged in some sense, or, you know, for some reason or other, I'm going to violate the principle that I've established here with my students. That's a contract in a sense. I'm going to violate the contract by giving this student a little extra boost, even though the student didn't perform the way everybody else was, or didn't perform to the same standards that everyone else did. I guess you could say that that's an ethical dilemma.
I should have been doing this years ago, but I just started running term papers through the computer, through the internet. And all the red lights went on.
Yeah.
So I got a hold of the student and I said, I cannot accept this paper as it is. You plagiarized, and you must pay a penalty for it. So I told the student, the best you're going to get from me, if you rewrite the paper and it comes up clean, the best you can get from me is a D.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt pretty comfortable with that. If I would have flunked him, he would have had to have taken the course all over again. It was a major requirement.
I had a group of students who are in a course, and the course is it's a project-oriented course where we meet twice a week, but they're working on a project. And the students in this case are tasked with raising money. Now, the event that students chose to raise money through was at a bar, and it had to do with alcohol. The bar was going to charge so much money and give the students $5 and take $5 themselves, and then it would be an all-you-can-drink type experience. And this is actually something I faced 4 days ago. So do I let the students move forward with that event, something that they've planned, that they've banked on, and that they've said would raise a lot of money for this charity that we're working to help in Zaire, Africa? And so as soon as I heard that the event was an all-you-can-drink type experience and that John Carroll University would be directly linked to an experience that potentially could get out of hand, that wasn't necessarily controlled, although it was with a third-party vendor, it still wasn't something I thought would be appropriate for our students to be working on, especially as a course project.